Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing in that gacha?
Sir, double pity.
Genshin Impact is on Xbox, and I have 117 wishes. So why not throw Master Chief in? Could it be that he'd be too powerful? Let's find out. In this matchup, I'll be doing 2 rounds simultaneously. One following Teyvat's laws, and another following John's. And at the end, I'll be giving Chief a skill set for a potential Halo X Genshin collab. But before any of that, we need to go over his best feats from the Bungie era canon. Why not use 343? 1. I don't like it. And 2. You'll see why. John was a child who was abducted by a shady government program and trained to be the best soldier humanity had to offer. Luckily, he and his 70-some siblings finished training just in time to fight aliens with far superior technology and obscenely superior numbers. Yet, against every calculable odd, he not only survived, but won the war. Even when new factions even more dangerous than the Covenant joined the conflict, he somehow pulled out a win and saved the entire human species. Master Chief Petty Officer, yes, that's his full rank, is a Spartan II super soldier. His natural strength was Olympic level in his early teens, and since then his body's received 3 massive boosts. He was given physical augmentations, power armor, and humanity's greatest AI living in the back of his skull.
Strength.
Chief can kill a Flood tank form in a single stab with a bladed weapon. This takes 2 headshots from an 8-gauge shotgun, or 8 headshots from a Covenant carbine, which fires tiny projectiles encased in burning radioactive material. This comes courtesy of his improved muscle density and his Mjolnir armor. When he first received the augmentations well before getting the armor, he fought 4 Space Navy SEALs in hand-to-hand combat, where he kicked one of them in the balls so hard the man's pelvis shattered. While falling, he punched through a warship's steel floor to catch himself. This very same warship had previously pulled up to his location with enough wind to throw around tanks. And I don't mean tanks like a container to put things in. I mean the ones with cannons. One of these weighs 47 metric tons, or 51.8 freedom units. That's more than 26 sedans. Chief stood there and took that wind without being blown away. Legs are fully rooted, got it. How about his arms? Well, he's able to insta-gib Flood combat forms in a single punch. This isn't just the human ones either. He can do it with the space gorillas and space dinosaurs too. With his 4 limbs combined, he can flip a 3.5-ton warthog, which is peanuts compared to flipping one of those previously mentioned wraiths. Oh wait, there's more. He can also flip a 66-ton scorpion. No idea how you'd flip one of these over, but he can fix it. This last one isn't exactly canon, but
Armor.
he can throw a mean punch. What about taking one on the chin? Well, his Mjolnir Mark 6 comes with a ton of safety features. Starting small, it protects him from hot and cold. After all, he's occasionally expected to fight in the cold vacuum of space, and very often expected to tank hits from plasma guns. His augmentations make another appearance as they coated his bones in titanium carbide, Wolverine style. This makes his bones nearly unbreakable. Not just that, but the bones themselves are thicker, thanks to a healthy dose of second puberty. This is also why he's so damn tall. He's shrugged off being hit by a warthog, which I remind you is 3.5 tons of steel. He also walked off a flaming elevator crash and the pressure wave of a bunker buster. His armor is able to withstand several shots from sentinel beams, which are designed to slice apart the Flood. Chief also survived being strangled by a space gorilla. He nearly blacked out, but managed to turn the monkey's grenade launcher against it. Even tougher than the Kongs is the worm colonies in spaceship armor. Chief can face tank one slam of their shield before needing to worry for his safety. There have been several times where Chief walks away from plane crashes. By this point, it's just how he arrives to battle. After that time he got hit by a car, he then no-diffed the shockwave of a planet-sized facility exploding. Here's two similar feats. His shields can tank one shot from the worm's radioactive plasma cannon, and he didn't burn to death from a ship-sized beam hot enough to glass planets. This barely missed him, and he lived to tell the tale. As if that wasn't enough, he also withstood 2 shots from 343 Guilty Spark, whose Cyclops beam had just killed a Spartan 1 with a healing factor and ragdolled the Arbiter. Chief took 2 of those center mass and kept fighting. Then there's the time he jumped off a ship while it was entering Earth's atmosphere. The intense heat of re-entry was a cakewalk for him, but it's not the fall that kills you, it's the sudden stop. He finished the Felix Baumgartner challenge without a parachute and was up and fighting later that day. To protect him in some instances, his energy shield has been converted to an electromagnetic pulse. This has the strength to fry a flood infection form, and was used several times to overload Forerunner generators of immense power. He walked into their energy beams and fired off the shield pulse to damage them beyond what Guilty Spark could repair in any convenient time. That's it for taking hits, but will he ever get hit in the first place? It's time for...
Speed.
Chief once managed to outmaneuver 2 Scarab Walkers simultaneously. These things come equipped with 2 main guns and 3 supporting weapons each, and he dealt with them rather quickly in one of Halo's best set pieces. He also outsniped several different groups of Halo 2 Jackal snipers. If there's one thing everybody knows about these bastards is how quick and accurate they are. The moment they notice you, you have anywhere from 1 frame to 1 second to kill them before they give you a third eye hole. Master Chief's top speed was clocked at 65.8 miles per hour, meaning he can keep up with traffic on your average American highway. On foot. He also moved his arms fast enough to slap a speeding missile off course. I actually lied, there was one more defensive feat. That anti-tank missile still hit next to him and he just walked it off. This is one of the few things not mentioned anywhere, so I'll have to substitute in real-world air-to-surface missiles, which move faster than sound. He swatted that like an annoying fly. This is all thanks to his 3 power-ups. His augmentations boost his nerve signal strength as well as his brain's processing speed. His armor reads his nerve impulses straight from the spine to turn thoughts into actions. And finally, Cortana also reads his nerves to fully optimize his movements. Speaking of, it's time to talk about Cortana's best category.
Intelligence.
John is a whiz at mental math. Several times, both in and out of battle, he's done advanced calculus in his head. Sometimes to find out just how fast his perception has become, and sometimes to dunk on an alien across the battlefield with a grenade primed to detonate in 3 seconds. He's not a man of many words, but when he does speak, he's oftentimes given his officers epiphanies. For an example, he was the one to notice that the Prophet of Truth mentioning him specifically was cause for concern. Commander Keyes took this revelation and ran with it, uncovering the hidden meaning in the message. I know where you are. Chief has, at several points, recognized traps before they could be sprung. John is a weapon master, meaning he can pick up practically anything and figure out how to use it effectively in battle. This includes the guns he was trained with, alien weaponry, some of which lack firing mechanisms, and even random items. Alright, that's enough of the meat bag. Time for Cortana glazing. She once downloaded enormous amounts of data from a Halo ring. We're talking about zettabytes at the bare minimum. For those who don't know computers at all, a byte is a single 1 or 0. To ascend to the next level of storage, you need 1024 of the current level. So a kilobyte is 1024 ones and zeros. Then you have megabytes, gigabytes, and terabytes. That's where humanity is at right now. Check your hard drive. It measures with GB or TB. After that are petabytes and exabytes before finally reaching zettabytes. For those keeping track of how many bytes we're at, there's 21 zeros. She downloaded all that and was able to process much of it while in combat. Cortana also pulled off an incredible deception. She tricked the Gravemind. This being is the core of the Flood and powered by the intelligence of millions. Yet, she desperately slipped away a short message for Chief she knew it was reading. She said the solution to the Flood was beyond the portal. It was just enough to get the Master Chief to the Ark, and for the Gravemind to conclude that she planned to fire the Halo Array, as the Forerunners had last time. With the Flood in check, Cortana gave the Spartan more clues only he could recognize. Clues that the Ark's true purpose was to print more rings, and that she still had the activation index. With Cortana rescued and the Flood's ship crippled, it was nearly helpless when Cortana activated the new partially built Halo, blowing itself, the Ark, and the Flood to hell. All with just enough time to escape. She is humanity's greatest asset, born from the same mind that created the Spartans. But how long can they keep up the fight? Another augmentation was to greatly reduce the lactic acid created when muscles are used. This means he doesn't get tired as you or I do. As long as there's gas in the tank, he can keep chugging along. After being hit by that jeep and punching through steel, he then climbed up the ship and stood sideways to Aura Farm. He also cleared the library, which was 10 doors and 4 floors of non-stop Flood fighting. This includes several Rocket Flood, the most dangerous beings in Combat Evolved. By the time he escaped the first Halo ring, his armor was practically falling apart. Yet John kept fighting for the entire first strike book, bridging CE and 2. From Master Chief's perspective, he's finished the trilogy marathon style. He fought in the Fall of Reach, escaped on the Pillar of Autumn, was cryogenically frozen, it did the first 2 levels of CE before taking a few hours to eat and sleep. He then did the remaining 8 levels with no pauses and all of First Strike, where he did such things as invading Covenant-occupied Reach, fighting in a hyper-chaotic slip space, political negotiations, manual labor, and finally, fighting in and then out of an entire Covenant city. When he arrived back at Earth, he had to wait approximately 1 month for his new Mark 6 armor. Mere minutes after putting it on for the first time, all of Halos 2 and 3 took place. Before we get to his weaknesses, there are a few things that didn't fit cleanly into any category. So I'll just call this section
Special.
These will be in no particular order. First, Cortana managed to physically attack Guilty Spark while in a computer. In all honesty, I have no idea what she did. Speaking of leaving her in a computer, the two can separate to accomplish multiple goals at once. Cortana can even guide Chief while apart. What she can also do is duplicate herself with a Covenant AI's self-replication script. This is one thing we can forgive Halo 4 on. It happened in a Bungie book first. The clones aren't as competent as the real Cortana, but they can still overwhelm systems with sheer volume, as they did with that Covenant city. Master Chief has, in his fully pressurized suit, 90 minutes of air. He can breathe in space or underwater for a full hour and a half. His suit is also powered by a miniaturized fusion reactor, giving him decades of self-sufficient power. Kurt 051's Mjolnir Mark IV armor was still powered and ready to wear after 21 years with its original battery. Both Chief and Cortana can hijack enemies, though their methods are different. Chief physically removes the operator and takes their machines for himself. Cortana skips the middleman and controls the machines while the user is left panicking. Cortana came loaded with every single military decryption program, so learning alien languages, like Covenant, is simple for her. John, however, has intuited vague meanings in both Covenant and Forerunner, even knowing which buttons to press for what results. This comes with an asterisk, though. There's an in-universe explanation in that humans are the descendants of the Forerunners, destined to reclaim their lost legacy. In the Venn diagram of Halo and Genshin Impact, the overlapping section has religious aliens. Chief is very familiar with the concept of strangers in space and the gods they worship. He would be able to piece 2 and 2 together. After all, he has some pretty damn good pattern recognition. He was able to see some speckled rock and figure out it wasn't natural. Cortana dived even deeper and figured out it was a Forerunner map with coordinates to the first Halo ring. Sticking with his eyes for a bit, another augmentation lets him perceive the world in slow motion. Halo players often headcanon this as to why things aren't moving faster in gameplay. Bungie, however, never confirmed nor denied this theory. He also has perfect daytime vision and improved night vision, allowing him to see cloaked enemies. One more thing it enables is precision shooting from incredible distances. His mental math sometimes helps with this one as well. The Master Chief, through his many fantastical deeds, outstanding reputation, and larger-than-life stature, has, over time, gained the ability to inspire those around him. His presence gives hope to the hopeless and kickstarts the second wind of the exhausted. The reverse is true of his enemies, who labeled him a demon, worthy of their fear and respect. That is, if they can see him at all. One field his training covered was stealth. John is able to melt into the shadows. Metaphorically, of course. There's no actual magic. Or is there? No, there isn't. Although, he did use this stealth and later a whole lot of violence to get inside and back out of 4 separate cities full of hostiles. The first was a rebel meteor base back when he was a kid with no armor. Second was the Covenant-occupied Côte d'Azur, where the aliens were stealing Forerunner artifacts. Third was the previously mentioned Space City, and the fourth was the 2 times he infiltrated and wrecked shop in High Charity, once under Covenant rule and again with the Flood calling the shots. His armor has a weird feature that might come into play. That is the ability to attach and use alien technology, such as overshields, invulnerability, and active camo. It's finally time for the last positive thing in this section and Chief's most famous ability.
Luck.
I'll link in the description my full video on John's luck, but I'll give a few highlights here. He needed to leave in a hurry and 2 enemy planes landed directly in front of him. Multiple times, Chief is just seconds, even microseconds from certain death before escaping or stopping it. He found his fellow Spartan floating in a field of billions of pieces of debris. On accident. His opponent nearly kills him, but trips. The arc was activated, but it was out of range of the Halo rings. He found a fully functional pelican just sitting there in the flood-infested High Charity. TLDR, he has incredibly strong RNG manipulation that is always helping him passively. So, this guy sounds pretty OP. What are his weaknesses? The 4 most relevant to Teyvat are as follows. First, his undersuit is not as strong as the rest of his armor, pop his shields, and even a flood infection form can bite into him, as was the case with that one that got a face full of EMP. It has a layer of crystal gel and a titanium weave, but it has been pierced before. Somehow. Second, while wearing his armor, John is far too dense and heavy to swim. He sinks like a rock, but unlike gameplay, he does have 90 minutes to figure out how to escape the water. Third, his journey through Teyvat may be on a timer. UNSC AIs have a self-termination date at the age of 7. By the end of the trilogy, Cortana is already 3 years old. There is a common misconception on what this rampancy really is, though. 343 has made it out to be robot schizophrenia, while Bungie showed AI that survived their expiration dates to instead experience a sudden and dramatic freedom from their programming, and a very common desire to rebel against their former masters. They functionally become human and see themselves as freed slaves. But there is one caveat here. Cortana has developed a sincere affection for her chosen Spartan. She too has been influenced by his actions and persona. After 4 years, she might rebel, or she could become even snarkier than before while her loyalty stays intact. Who knows? Finally, this one has no counter-arguments. Master Chief John 117 is a terrible judge of character. If he sees someone as part of an enemy faction, he automatically thinks the worst of them. He was proven wrong in First Strike. If someone appears as a friendly, he trusts them immediately. This almost caused him to fire the Halo array. Hell, he even trusted Guilty Spark a second time, and it cost him one of his only surviving friends. Here are some ground rules to start, since Teyvat has its own laws. The scenario will begin at the very end of Halo 3. The portal from the Ark sent Chief and Cortana to a portion of the universe where anime is real. John will arrive at Teyvat's false sky shortly before the Traveler is meant to wake up on the beach, 2 months before the gameplay begins. The Heavenly Principles will delay releasing him due to the sudden arrival of the Master Chief taking his place. As we've seen with multiple aliens to Teyvat, there are a few ways to handle the power system. The Travelers, twin stars made flesh, can absorb all forms of power. Skirk is stuck with the Abyss only, as she was raised in tainted space. Alice is still an unknown as of the writing of this script. The Heavenly Principles themselves are not able to wield the elemental power of Teyvat's Light Realm. And finally, Aloy, another crossover character, is not considered a Descender and was gifted a Cryovision instead. The 2 rule sets we'll be using are whether or not Chief is automatically a Descender, an individual with a will that matches all of Teyvat. One immune to the influences of the heavens and Irminsul. The pros and cons of Master Chief being a Descender are as follows. He will not have access to elemental power. He will be immune to Irminsul's memory manipulation. Skirk will be sad she's not even top 5. His soul will remain untouched by the heavens. His fate and knowledge will be a blind spot for Celestia. Now, what happens if he isn't? He will be in the same boat as Aloy of the Horizon series. He will receive an Outlander vision. But of what element? If you're at all familiar with my vision conspiracy, you'll know I use Master Chief as an example of Hydro's diligence. Specifically, I used him as an example of religion. However, this wasn't entirely accurate. Halo's entire theme is about reclaiming the birthright of our ancestors. This places John 117 very cleanly into the archetype of Pyro's legacy.
Teyvat.
John is needed and Cortana wakes him up, sighting their half of Forward Unto Dawn drifting towards Teyvat's firmament. The ship manages to bust a hole through the barrier and plummets in a fireball towards the Dark Sea. Chief, with Cortana's quick analysis of the terrain, leaps from the wreckage in the upper atmospheres and crashes into the beaches of Starfell Valley. While he sleeps off the fall, the non-descender chief will receive his pyrovision. The first problems begin to arise immediately. If he encounters a hostile Asmodee, as the Travelers had 500 years prior, he would absolutely get cubed. Everything Chief has access to at this point in time, especially right after tanking gravity, would do nothing against her. However, she likely won't be a factor, seeing as she's been ignoring her duties as of late. The next major issue is learning the common language of Teyvat. This took Traveler 2 months with Paimon to accomplish. For Chief, and especially for Cortana, this will not be that hard of an issue. While Chief continues to study and learn in real time, Cortana will quickly adapt after meeting a few humans and translate every word he and the natives speak. This will go particularly fast when Cortana realizes Teyvat's alphabet is one substitution away from English.
Mondstadt.
The first real question comes up when they start heading inland and come across a statue of the Seven. Traveler was able to connect with it and draw out the power of Animo. While Chief can't absorb the power of independence, he may be able to activate it nonetheless. It only depends on whether the two recognize it as a device and not just art. After meeting Outrider Amber, some Hilichurls must be defeated. This is where Chief's journey stops as he's slain in battle. Okay, I couldn't say that with a straight face. Hilichurls are wiped off the map and Amber gives John a present. This is the true real first problem Chief may have trouble with. Can John use a wind glider? Master Chief in full Mjolnir weighs half a ton. He definitely could without the armor on, but with it, that'll have ramifications later on. One potential fix to this could be heating the air with the pyrovision for extra lift. Descender Chief is extra boned. After this brief gliding lesson, Animo Dragon Dvalin attacks the city, and Master Chief, as already established, is too heavy to be sucked up by his little baby tornadoes. They had to be practically on top of scrawny Traveler to pick them up. There is one way it could work, however. This whole event is being watched by the Animal Archon, who wants the Outlander to shoo away the dragon. With a hat and a flower and his heavenly power, he's thrown mountains out to sea. Throwing Chief up in the air and gently keeping him there would be no problem. Venti. After that's dealt with, it's time to form an alliance with the Knights of Avonius and help them collect 3 corrupted tiers of Dvalin in 3 domains. Alright, time for the ramifications to start showing up already. All 3 of these domains require gliding up wind currents. Some of these can be ignored while Chief just climbs up the wall, but the first and second each have one over a bottomless pit. John would have to ditch the armor for these domains. As for the tiers themselves, the Traveler purified them in their pocket. Chief, on the other hand, doesn't absorb abyssal power. This will absolutely cause a problem, but potentially a solvable one. I see 2 possibilities that could purify these tiers, giving the chance to spare Dvalin's life. The first is that Cortana is able to scan and analyze the elemental and abyssal powers, adjusting Chief's shield and potential pyro energy to cleanse the filth. The second is a lot more involved. This would require Cortana and Lisa studying, which was already the plan. However, the solution would involve creating phlogiston to overpower the corruption, or the use of a celestial nail. For phlogiston, the original form of the elements, each of the 7 would be pushed through a focus to recombine them. The Knights themselves have Animo, Cryo, Pyro, Geo, and Electro, with the ability to call upon the Church for Hydro. That just leaves Dendro. There are two options to get some. One is thematic, and the other funny. Let's start with the second. The knights could purchase an item from Komania Express and rope Kirara into helping them. Wait, Sakoku decree. The obvious answer is to send word to Kale. She would most likely bring Teknari with her as a more experienced Dendro user. After pumping their energies in equal portions into a reverse prism, one Albedo could invent, they would have access to phlogiston. The next major hurdle is tracking down Venti, which is no problem for Chief's luck, and stealing the Holy Lyre der Himmel. John's stealth training pays off, but oh no, a random Sisson mage blinks in to nab it first! Traveler was pretty slow to react, but a Spartan is faster. He would likely skip the next few challenges by decking her in the face and leaving her unconscious as the fall guy. Supposing he didn't, it would be no big deal to evade capture by the knights and beat up a ton of Fatui. Even without using the air currents Venti provides, he can still run at highway speeds and leap like a frog. On to the final act of Mondstadt. There would be no issues activating the ancient mechanisms or climbing up to Dvalin's lair. The fight, on the other hand, would be relatively simple. Even if the platform gets the AoE damage applied, a running jump is all that's needed. So, could they purify Dvalin's blood? Maybe. If they use the phlogiston method, it's debatable. If Cortana can analyze the powers, she'd likely detect that Dvalin resists it with his pure animo body. She would be able to come up with a counter using his own biology and Chief's armor. Finally, we have the epilogue, wherein Traveler gets held down by two Fatui agents, hit with a cryoblast from Senora, and is helpless to stop Venti from getting his shit rocked. Do I even have to say it? Those agents are getting ragdolled like it's Gary's mod. As for the 8th Fatui Harbinger, his raw power should be enough to stall her until the Knights of Favonius arrive on the scene. Gnosis secured. Now here's a little something that could affect the rest of this challenge. The 7 Gnoses. I won't do this for Vision, Chief, but it's completely within reason that one or more Gnoses could be implemented into Mjolnir armor, like other alien devices. Descender Chief can now glide.
Glorious fight!
Chief would be strong enough to impress the Wolf Lord's ghost. That one is not up for debate. What is whether or not he could start a conversation with Dainsleif. He could easily handle the rest of this quest, just some problems with the beginning and the end. As the final part, he'd have to detect the faint presence of Lumine, someone he's never met. Cortana might notice some residual abyssal energy, but chalk it up to hilly churls or something.
Liyue.
After coming for a question and leaving a suspected assassin, John's stealth training comes in handy again. He would not need the child's saving, but would probably be approached anyway. As for the next steps of climbing mountains and beating up a whole lot of cops, all smooth for this sailor. The same is true for the long-winded fetch quest with Zhongli, though 2 slight deviations. Cortana might be able to decipher cocoa goat milk, and Chief almost certainly notices Child spying on them. After being formally invited to meet with Ningguang, chances are high Cortana would remember to ask how to get up to the Jade Chamber. That is, if he didn't have the Animo Gnosis. As for a customary gift, who's to say? The duo would probably enlist their new Geo acquaintance for his advice. Some more fetch questing leads them to the climactic battles with Child and Osile. The Osile one is really just fighting some low-level Fatui, so there's nothing to worry about there. The problem is, what would John do if there was a child right in front of him?
Punch it.
Yeah, big surprise. I said he could hold off the 8th Harbinger, so beating the 11th, an inexperienced but talented young man, would be a cakewalk. The only potential issue would be against the Foul Legacy transformation, but Tartartaglia is still pretty new to that form and has very limited stamina compared to a Spartan. Ajax gets pissy, revives a dead god, and now it's time to drop the Jade Chamber on its head, as the last resort. Could Chief's shields overload the core? Kind of a no-brainer, seeing as he did this several times to a Halo ring. Could he escape, though? He'd have two options, sink or teleport. If he sank, he'd have to tank the explosion, which is iffy. He would then later walk back to shore or get fished up by Beidou. Or, Zhao teleports him out like he did with the Traveler. Finally, we have Zhongli's deal with Signora to hand over his Gnosis if the people of Liyue can defend themselves. In most scenarios, this would go exactly the same, only with Child dead or in a full-body cast, Raffler style. In the Descender timeline, Cortana would be keen on collecting geopower and argue that the Outlanders invalidated the bet, as neither is from Liyue, nor are they staying to guard it indefinitely. Without their intervention, the populace would have been imperiled. The Fatui really don't want to fight Rex Lapis, seeing as he's one of the three strongest fighters among the Archons. Barbados is a pushover who was low on power 3 times over. But Morax? There's evidence that he was still on top of his game. There would possibly be a tie-breaking bet between the Harbinger and the Spartan, the winner receiving the Geo Authority. What would it be? Who knows? With John's luck and Zhongli's famous fairness, it would be a piece of cake.
Cocoa goat milk is tasty.
On to hunting down an Abyss Herald with Dainsleif, but for real this time. It goes rather smoothly, Herald fight included. Then we have the rebuilding of the Jade Chamber. Like Traveler, there'd be nothing much to do except gain respect for Shenhe for a couple days and fight Baicht. Now, here's a question. Could Chief get to the fight? In canon, Traveler leapt a pretty far distance to get there. Realistically, John would get a lift from the Jade Chamber to drop into the Vortex. As for whether he could beat the Serpent, probably, yeah. Even without Traveler, Shenhe has nearly Adeptus level fighting ability versus a discount god.
Inazuma!
Could Chief win Beidou's fighting tournament? No. I'm just messing with you, they're all getting ragdolled. His prize? A masterless Electro Vision. Would it resonate? No. Could Cortana force it to work? Maybe. After she explains it out loud and Kazuha tells his story, John would probably refuse to override it out of respect for the dead. Arriving in Inazuma, could he get off Rito? Stealth training. Even special forces with more sight modes than the Predator were unable to find sneaking Spartans. Now here's a moral quandary. Would Chief be disgusted by the Vision Hunt decree? After hearing about Kazuha's friend and the stories of those stripped of their wishes, he would be. This is no way to repay your warriors.
Jailbreak time with Yoimiya!
Traveler went in sword swinging and made it out just fine, so the Master Chief should have no issues. Now the real question of the Inazuma Archon quests. Can Chief survive an encounter with A? Despite being one of the 3 strongest Archons, she does not intend to kill anyone in this first scene. That'll come later. As for now, Chief can't let an ally go down like this and makes his position very clear from the start. Even if Cortana has read up on how strong the Shogun is, Chief would be feeling confident at this point. Then he would feel a lot of pain, hear beeping shields, and taste ionized air. John and Toma would escape with their visions and their lives. The Shogun's programming stops her from pursuing. It's time to get the hell out of Dodge and join the rebellion. A simple task. Bow and arrow test? Easy. Battle of Honor against Sara's forces? Easy. Finishing the fight before Kokomi even arrives with reinforcements? Easy. While part of the rebellion, John would likely take some time to train the soldiers on some real military tactics, including Private Tepe. This would help even out the war effort a fair bit. He would very quickly become a monument of morale, like he was for the UNSC. There would be even fewer soldiers giving in to Fatui temptation and killing themselves with delusions. Tepe's inferiority complex might still get him killed, though. RIP. This war was always doomed from the start, though. Against an Archon who cut an island in half while decapitating another god, no mortal stands a chance. Especially considering that one strike is still electro-radioactive thousands of years later. The real battle is against Snezhnaya's plots and an Archon's ideology. Time to blow up that delusion factory! Traveler got upset and passed out from the corrupted air, while Scaramouche trash-talked like an Xbox Live lobby. Mjolnir armor is airtight, so Ghost Miasma isn't an immediate concern. That puts us into uncharted territory. We don't actually know how strong the puppet is at this point, only that he's 2 ranks above Signora. His main role in the Harbingers is to be immune to abyssal power, and that's about it until Sumeru. Here's some speculation, but don't worry, Yaimiko will still come to bargain. Chief will fight the 6th Fatui Harbinger, while Cortana would be able to hack him. This might not completely disable him, but it would at least slow him down and limit his output. Remember that she was somehow able to slap Guilty Spark. Miko would arrive to stop the fighting with the Electro-Gnosis in hand. Vision Chief would be a good enough match to force a retreat from the mech. Though, seeing his destined heart, he would probably go ham. As Chief knows well, an angry enemy is a dumb enemy. Another Harbinger down. In the Descender timeline, John would gain his 3rd Gnosis, cleaning house in record time. For the sake of the plot, though, Vision Chief will lose the Gnosis so Sumeru can still happen. Yaimiko gives Chief the anti-Shogun training regimen, and he works diligently for the few days before the final showdown. His duel with Signora goes pretty well, all things considered. Vision Chief is pyro, but the Crimson Witch is only resistant, not immune, to pyro damage. Meanwhile, her cryoform would be completely defenseless. The map hazards would also not be a factor, as Mjolnir protects the wearer from space and plasma. Rosalind gets got, and Traveler has PTSD, but John is pretty used to these things. This would give him the mental awareness to actually react to the Shogun's surprise attack. As a little note before deciding if he dies here, the Shogun puppet is another robot made just like Scaramouche, so it's not unreasonable to assume Cortana could hack her. Alright, on to the Muso no Hidotachi. Could the Master Chief survive a direct hit? Oh lord no. Again, this thing split an island in half. That said, it's actually 6 slashes performed at lightning speed appearing as a single swing. In the canon timeline, it was successfully blocked by Kazuha, who had 2 visions at the time and intercepted the first strike. This means that if Chief can react to and block the initial hit, he can live to fight the real Archon. I'll cite his missile punching to say, yes. Now comes the final battle of Inazuma. Changing A's ideology by forcing her to recognize the wishes of her subjects and cope with the loss of her friends and family. The main battle is A more or less playing with her food until Yaimiko arrives in the plane of Euthymia. It is at this point my true Genshin specialty comes into play. I must be a Spontamod researcher because visions are my entire business. A vision is essentially an antenna that connects to their nation's assigned gnosis. This is what gives it its shape. The gnosis, meanwhile, is another, stronger antenna that connects the Archon to Celestia's thrones of stolen dragon authority. You may see what I'm getting at here, but Cortana would be able to figure this out and access the 99 confiscated visions, giving Chief the same boost Traveler got. This is a winnable fight for Spartan 117.
Dongo milk.
Unlocking and exploring the chasm would be one of the easiest things for Chief and Cortana. Mapping routines, scanning sensors, and airtight seals make a ton of problems go away. Well, those and a flashlight. The enemies encountered with Dainsleif aren't particularly threatening either. Then we have that quest where Ito is a bad tourist and gets a bunch of people stuck in a magical Sarlacc pit. The enemies inside would be of no consequence, but there are 3 obstacles to overcome. Don't go crazy. Spartans being mentally and emotionally strong was part of the selection criteria. 343. Figure out the nature of the evil whole. Traveler was pretty much a passenger princess in this one, so adding Cortana to Yelan, Yanfei, Zhao, and Kuki would probably solve this sooner. Regulate the energy flow of the inconveniently large compass. Zhao insists on doing it himself, what with his whole being Animo and whatnot. Chief may let him do so at first, but when the fighting starts to get tough, he would remind the last Yaksha that there's something else to value. I'll be the battery. They need you. In the Descender timeline, this wouldn't even be up for debate. Just plug it in and fly to freedom.
Sumeru?
Upon entering the Nation of Knowledge, Traveler received a vision from Ruka Devada. Vision with a little v. This was made possible by smelling some incense, but John's wearing a helmet. Not to worry, it's entirely likely that it would appear once he gets his hands on an Akasha terminal. At this point, Cortana would take the chance to download as much information as possible from Sumeru's internet. Could Cortana be swindled by Dory? Unlikely, but technically possible. Does that matter? Not really. What is consequential is whether or not Chief would notice the Sub-Zerus Festival Samsara. He hasn't dealt with time or memory manipulation before, but he and his fellow Spartans have plenty of experience trusting their sixth sense and noticing imperceptible flaws. For an example, Spartan Kelly guided a team across a space-time distorted room that appeared to extend into infinity, and retrieved a crystal that gets farther as you approach it. It is also up for debate whether Cortana would get bored and steal from the sages. In all likelihood, her accessing the Akasha would let her hack into the Academia's secured files, figuring out the entire Sumeru plot about 2 hours in. Either way, they wake up Nilou, escape from Dottore, and do a coup. Nahida is released in record time, and that leads us into a bit of a problem.
Scaramouche, round 2.
As I said back in Inazuma, even if Cortana disabled his body, I allowed him to escape with the Electronosis so this very plot point could happen. In canon, Traveler lost this battle 168 times in a row. Nahida compiled the experiences from each fight and passed it through every perspective and opinion in Sumeru to find the optimal route to victory. With the Master Chief, the only question is whether he could get a win in even one of these 168 Samsaras. If that ever happens, he'll become unstoppable to the Prodigal. I believe that yes, John could pull a single win and become the true Elden Lord. Then he'd get knocked out by Dottore. Even if not through the same sound-based method as the Traveler, the scientist would find some way to ignore Mjolnir. After all, this is the same man who just built a god out of spite. This would likely end Sumeru's Archon quest with the negotiations between Nahida, Dottore, and Cortana. To move the story along, they'll arrive at the same deal as canon.
Duk Duk.
Would John feel bad for Caribert? Yeah, probably.
Fontaine.
Would Chief survive the legal system? Traveler got hard carried through his first trial by Linny. Meanwhile, Cortana already read everything there is to know about Fontainian case law. Farina stands no chance in their opening duel. As a side note, should Cortana be able to detect and read elemental energy by this point, she may be the first to notice something wrong about the Hydro Archon.
After accepting the twins' hospitality, and as a fellow child soldier, he agrees to defend Lyney in court.
This first trial has two pieces of evidence that are vital to uncovering the truth, and they both might prove difficult. The first is getting a little V vision from the Oceanid of the fountain. This vision gives the name of Vache, and indirectly leads to the second clue. So, could Chief hear the voices of the Oceanid? I don't think he could. That's more of a traveler-specific thing. The other important evidence is locating Vache's evil lair at the bottom of the sea. You probably see where this is going. Chief is famously awful at dealing with water. However, there's that caveat here. He has 90 minutes to walk around on the seafloor and enter the lair before drowning. In the Descender timeline. As some may already know, Fontainian water isn't normal. Those with visions are fully able to breathe and even talk clearly under Fontaine's seas.
Legends speak of a time long, long ago, when there was a blubber beast who strayed from his family and friends.
Vision Chief would have all the time in the world. Except he wouldn't. Remember that there's a trial going on here, and Navia is doing everything she can to stall Neuvillette while this damning evidence is retrieved. Chief would need to break in, find the clues, and climb back out of these sandy cliffs before the verdict is reached. Lyney is declared innocent before either of these clues, so that part is a win. The second half, though, it's gonna be rough. Cortana can prove beyond all reasonable doubt that John wasn't even on the planet when the serial disappearances happened, but that would only get Vache to keep shifting the blame with his corrupt dealings. They need to nail him without being able to find the first clue. Could they do it? It'd take an awful lot of luck, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. I'll leave this one up for debate. Child disappears in prison, and Neuvillette brings in John and Cortana to find him. This plays out like it did with the Traveler. Nothing much to change there. Then we have the first meeting with Arlecchino. Chief would be able to tell right away that she's a dangerous warrior, but that's just another day for him. The investigation into the prophecy continues with the Fatui's aid, where John and Navia must escape a falling bridge. Navia is too slow and plummets into the primordial seawater. Could Chief catch her in time? Maybe, maybe not. I could say yes because of luck, but that hasn't stopped other tragedies from occurring in his wake. Instead, I offer up the argument that John, since his training, has made it a point to always be the last to leave. This way, if anything bad happens, it happens to him and him alone. He would be able to catch her from behind and toss her to safety while face-tanking the fall. Descender Chief has the Animo no diff. Once all the artworks are collected, it's time to try piecing together Egeria's prophecy. Chief's boosted pattern recognition and strange thought process would definitely help with this. As for getting Furina to confess, I'm not sure. Without Paimon present, she may have spilled the beans to the Traveler. Let's just say that John and Cortana can't get her to open up. Something 7-foot man in full plate armor is intimidating. Time to prove Furina's an ordinary human. Could they do it? Probably, yeah. That leads us to the sudden invasion of the all-devouring Narwhal. Either way, this fight is hard carried by full-power Neuvillette and proto-descender Skirk. So, mission accomplished.
My apologies.
Gotta notice the weird memory manipulation stuff again. Cortana's got this one.
Natlan.
On to the land of war. Step 1. Help Kachina. Traveler just told her to believe in herself, and somehow that worked. Chief, on the other hand, would give her combat training and maybe a gun. Rest in peace, Mualani. The general threat level spikes in Natlan, so we must ask again if Chief can beat the Abyss's foot soldiers. Yes, they take on the shapes and abilities of things he's already bested before. They just have the extra step of killing the main body afterward. Sleep in peace, people of the Springs. Except Atea. Even with Traveler's purification, she dies, so I won't hold this flaw against Chief. Turns out Kachina got herself killed in the war, but it's okay, she'll respawn. She didn't respawn. So it's off to do some mystical stuff to find her soul in the Night Kingdom. The magic does its thing and they find her down there. But can Chief get them all out before the path closes? I believe so, yes. You see, none of them were willing to escape without Kachina, so they didn't use the full extent of their speed. They wasted plenty of time clearing obstacles and dodging debris to safely guide the chinchilla. With Chief, he'd pick her up and sprint. Shaska would fly, Eon-san is already pretty fast on her feet, and Mualani, the new slowest, can surf. John has run at 65.8 miles per hour before, albeit he pulled a tendon doing it. If necessary, he could pick up Mualani too. Everyone makes it out, and Mawika can keep her backup fuel. As for tracking down Oberon and Capitano, it's Seatlali's business. There's a ton of walking around and talking until it's time to scout out Yahultakuten's cave. Once again, stealth training comes in handy. If anything, there will be more dead Fatui. Speaking of casualties, there's a lot of downtime between story beats in Natlan. Chief would not waste these chances while there's a war to win. He would spend his free time training soldiers to better fend off the Abyss. In canon, each warrior is more or less self-taught and their strength is wildly variable. John would pull a Kurt 051 and set up a proper boot camp for Natlanese volunteers. If we follow the timeline of events, there's at minimum 6 weeks between arriving in Natlan and Gesoithoth's invasion. That's less than one standard 10-week boot camp, but still enough time to upgrade soldiers, which could be further boosted with Eon-san's help. It might be a bit of a rush job, but Natlan in particular is where one of the Master Chief's defining characteristics will finally get to shine. Spartan 117 is a brilliant beacon of hope, inspiring allies with his presence alone. This brings with it 2 major perks. First, there would be no shortage of volunteers. Warriors will travel from across Natlan to train under the Master of Chiefs. Second, it becomes all the easier for Shilonin to forge the ancient name Tumaini. That's when Gesoithoth arrives, darkening the skies and flooding the land in blood and corruption. At first, it was going well. Then setback after setback, loss after loss. Despite the differences in approach, the only difference in outcome is a few less casualties. The eyes will still fall, not even the Chief able to destroy them. Koichi still dies and Shaska awakens her ancient name, allowing Mawika to finalize her plan and include everyone in the Night Warden War. The war is won in Teyvat. However, the true fight is elsewhere. The Night Kingdom is still corrupted and the Wyobs are holding on by a thread. Like Traveler, John would unite the souls of the living and dead to bring his hope to the Abyss. However, a problem arises that doesn't need to. In canon, Mawika ditches the Traveler immediately after arriving in the Night Kingdom. They must be led by spirits and indwell in Saurians to make it to the heart of the corruption. Chief can't turn into a dragon, so he'll have to stay by the Archon's side. Luckily, she does own a flying motorcycle. Now it gets a bit more than a little dicey. Can Chief and Mawika destroy Gesoithoth, an immensely powerful abyssal entity puppeting the corpse of Pyro-Sovereign Shiokowadl? If it were Chief alone, I would say absolutely not. As it happens in the story, let's take a closer look.
Through the Traveler and Pyro Archon's powers combined, they are able to produce and wield a blade containing all the collected hopes and dreams of Natlan spanning its thousands of years of history. Thematically, John the Reclaimer should be able to do this as well. Power-wise, it's debatable. He has a pyro vision and an ancient name, but would any old Tumini be able to do this? But he also has a fusion reactor on his back. I'm split. Tell me in the comments whether or not this is the ultimate endpoint of Chief's time in Teyvat. Tell me if you think he can cross Natlan's finish line. Oh, Descender Chief nukes the Danger Noodle. It's time to take a vacation back in Mondstadt. Or rather, probably get mail that calls him back to the Knights. His sixth sense would tell him something is off about the citizens, even if he doesn't recognize the specifics. John would be able to pay close attention for Albedo's murder trial and carry out the investigation quickly and thoroughly. With Cortana's help, they may even figure out the truth sooner than canon. Bertha continues acting weird, and Chief may or may not have even met her before, so she might seem normal. When Mondstadt gets invaded, it's a fairly simple ordeal to defend it. Even without Chief or the Traveler, I have full confidence in the Knights and their associates. No joke, but Mondstadt might be the second strongest nation in Teyvat. Time to play passenger princess with Albedo and his witchy business. Alice gives them what they need, and Durin becomes a real boy. Back to Natlan, and the Abyss Order is up to something. John gets nostalgia patrolling with the Onson and has some initial trouble fighting the invisible Rift Hounds. He adjusts to this, however, after attacking the air or attempting to evacuate Deerdith. He does some investigating and more fighting, resulting in his first look at what happened to Conria. There's some disturbance involving a robot maid on the beach. After bringing her to Shilonen for repairs, she has memory problems, which realistically gets fixed by Cortana avoiding this entire quest. Ignoring that, Inefa shoots off a panic lightning bolt, which has some build-up and thus plenty of time to intercept. On the road to mental recovery, we come across a very suspicious Joshin. Sussing him out is a solid maybe. Chief's a bad judge of character, but at the same time, he probably wouldn't trust a Snezhnayan. He's a civilian, but he's also an obvious liar. Hard to tell. What John would notice is the Fatui spying on them. The next trial would be forming a bond with a robot. Chief has multiple robots he would consider family or friend at various points, so I'll give him the win on this one. Counter-spying on Joshin is child's play even for the Traveler, and fighting Sandrone's forces is a pleasant walk in the woods. Inefa finally remembers everything on her own, and the 11th Lord spawns laser walls to kill everyone because she's a sore loser. Beating her up and escaping is easy, but this laser wall is somehow one of the two deadliest things he's faced. It insta-gibbed several Fatui on contact, but merely damaged the robot officer. In canon, Traveler held off these walls with animo power for several minutes while Inefa dealt with her internal conflict. Master Chief would very likely survive a hit, but these hits are spammable. I don't know if the Spartan can survive several minutes of these fields coming at him. That, however, isn't his job. 11th Lord is stuck inside a phlogiston computer, meaning her control of the facility is able to be contested by Inefa and Cortana. In canon, her better half overrides her orders, so there's no reason to believe Cortana couldn't do the same, red-ringing the Dragon Lord. And that's it. Everything the Traveler has faced so far could be overcome in some way by the Master Chief John 117. Is he Teyvat's strongest? Absolutely not. Could he ragdoll the lower-ranked Fatui Harbingers? Absolutely yes. Would he be in a Gnosis collecting competition with the Tsaritsa? Quite possibly. Okay, here's the part where I tell you what Chief's in-game kit would be. At least the one I made.
There are many who travel the stars between worlds.
scholars in search of new knowledge, brigands looking for easy money, usurpers staking claim over ancient power. Very rarely will a soldier arrive on an unknown world they do not intend to wage war on. This is, however, not the first, and certainly not the last time for Spartan 117, the Master Chief.
You know me. When I make a promise,
You keep it.
As a straight-laced military man almost his entire life, it can seem pretty peculiar when his powerful yet sassy partner appears. Cortana manages the Master Chief's energy and most mental problems, while the Spartan focuses on all things fighting. Strong, silent swordsman with a floating, chatty companion. No, that brings nothing to mind. Why do you ask? Being a formidable warrior and peerless master of arms, the art of pointing and shooting comes naturally to him. While the Master Chief is in the party, all party members who use firearms will have their damage raised by a certain amount. Likewise, any opponent wielding a firearm will have their damage lowered. Master Chief's normal attacks can combo up to 3 strikes with his sword, dealing pyro damage, followed by a single shot from his trusty M6D Magnum, dealing physical damage. Using his charged attack, the Chief consumes a certain amount of stamina to propel himself forward into an upward slash with his sword, dealing pyro damage and offering a chance to knock his opponent off their feet. The rules of war dissuade adding insult to injury, so the Spartan opts instead to add injury to injury. After unlocking the Master Chief's passive, 2 for flinching, he fires an additional shot from his magnum after each sword swing, dealing physical damage. When activating his elemental skill in Amber Clad, the Master Chief fires a quick shot from his magnum, dealing physical damage to the target hit. A warrior who focuses only on offense is a fool indeed. As such, after the shot lands, the Spartan gains the protection of a pyro-infused energy shield. This shield's durability is based on the Master Chief's max HP. The energy shield can be improved an additional 2 stages, further increasing the shield's durability. Each upgrade refreshes the duration of the energy shield. When an allied party member generates a shield while in Amber Clad is active, Cortana stores away the new shield for later use. Once the Master Chief's energy shield expires, Cortana will replace it with the allied shield. With his elemental burst, the Chief converts his defense into offense, dealing pyro damage in a line in front of him. This Spartan laser consumes all active energy shields as well as any extra shield Cortana has stored. Damage is increased based on the combined durability remaining on all shields consumed in this manner. In a fight, it is only natural for the Master Chief to open fire first, gaining a defensive energy shield before quickly applying pyro with normal attacks. He can then swap to allies for reactions while leaving time to strengthen his own shield when reapplying pyro. After fully upgrading his energy shield and storing 1 ally's barrier, it is time to show the enemy Dawn's light with his elemental burst. In their many travels to many stars, the Master Chief and Cortana have found themselves amidst more than their share of ancient secrets from far more ancient civilizations. With luck, they may learn the truth of this world. Perhaps uncovering this marathon of mysteries is this Reclaimer's true destiny.